Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play this video and talk about things that are going on to better explain what's going on and talk about things that I think that are being done right and or done wrong. Here we go.
I'm Brooke Reese with the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department. This is a critical incident briefing concerning Sunday night's fatal police shooting in the 900 block of Buchanan Street. North Precinct officers responded to the area after the Emergency Communications Center received reports of a man in the street with a gun.
What is the address? Say it's gonna be 918 Buchanan.
I'm sorry, you said 982 or 918?
918, 918.
It's here, Buchanan?
Yeah.
Okay, then get it.
Don't cross the street, bro.
What's going on?
Don't go across the street, bro. What's that?
What's going on?
He got a guy out here with a gun. He got a guy out here with a gun walking down the street, threatening people over here in this business. It wouldn't be.
Is he not white on his Asian?
He's gonna be a black guy. He better go on by this business before we light him up now.
Okay, what color shirt he has? Listen, what color shirt
he got? Like a camouflage. He got like a camouflage coat on with a hat, with a brown hat on.
Okay, where's he at right now?
He's in the middle of the street. He's in front of Slim and Huskies, and he's like in the street between Willie D's and Slim and Huskies in the little art gallery over here.
And you say he has been threatening people with it?
Yes, he is. Yes, he needs to stop before he gets something that he don't need, because he's pointing his gun. Like, seriously.
Okay, now
Security and everybody trying to have restraint. He needs to stop. For real. Like, serious.
Okay,
or he get his ass toe up out here.
All right, listen, I got that sent up. Okay, what is your first and last name?
My name is Jerome. I got him on the phone with him, y'all. I'm on the phone with him.
Okay, what's the phone number you're calling me from, Jerome?
I know, I told him. Yeah, I know it. Yes. Yes, come on. Y'all need to come on.
I'm letting them know everything you're telling me, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, y'all need to come on, man.
Okay, I'm getting on there as quick as I can, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm letting them know everything you're telling me.
Yes, ma'am. I got you. I'm following. Yes. Yes. Let's get them in here.
Okay,
please.
you said security was there too, is that correct?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Yes, please do that for me.
There's been dispatched, okay, so they're coming as quick as they can.
Yes. Please get him, because he's going to lose his life out here. Like, he's playing with his gun, pointing at people. He's going to get in trouble. He's going to get in trouble playing with his gun, pointing at people.
I understand. And you said he's homeless?
And he got, like, brown cutter up. Yeah, he got, like, brown overalls on with a camouflage coat and, like, a gray hat.
You said a gray hat?
Yes. Yes. Still in the middle of the street. He's still in the middle of the street.
Okay.
And keep cocking it. Yes. 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 Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if he's homely, he's mentally retarded.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know if he's homeless. So I don't want the police to come and he's like mentally disabled or something like that. I still want to watch out for that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Now,
so y'all need to come get him, though. Yeah.
Okay, let them know that, okay, everything you just told me. But I do have them en route. They're coming as quick as they can, okay? How long has he been out? Yeah, how long has he been out there with the gun?
So I don't know. He's been out here for a few minutes, but we ended up coming out here checking with security. Security came and got us because he was just in the street yelling, pointing the gun and towards this way. Yeah, give us a second, brother.
And what
give us a second. Give us 1 second, y'all. 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. Yeah, 1 second. Give us 1 second. And we don't want our people to leave out the door and shit.
Yeah, it's okay. What is the name of your location?
Okay. It's actually Willie D's Kitchen and Lounge. That's where we're actually at.
I'm so sorry, I couldn't hear you. What was it?
It's Willie D's Kitchen and Lounge.
Okay.
That's where the location I'm at.
Okay. And do you still see him from where you are?
Mm-hmm. What's that?
I said, can you still see him from where you are or no?
Yes, I can see him. I can walk out the door and literally see him.
Okay.
Get Linda, make sure they don't come out this door. Can you make sure they don't come out this door? The homeless dude pointing his gun and shit about to get his lit up. I am. He got. Hello.
I'm still here.
Mm-hmm. Give me 1 second. Okay.
Okay, you said you're keeping everybody inside that location. Is that correct?
Yes, I am. Police here now. They here now.
There, you see them? All right, I'll let you go. All right, bye-bye.
All right. Please don't shoot him! Don't shoot him! Don't shoot him! Don't shoot him! Oh my fucking goodness! Don't shoot him! Oh my God! Don't shoot him! Oh! Don't shoot him! What? Don't shoot him! Don't shoot him, bro! Don't fucking shoot him, bro!
Jerome? Jerome?
Don't shoot him, bro!
Jerome?
Don't shoot him, bro! Don't shoot him, bro! Don't shoot him!
Jerome, can you hear me?
Shoot him, bro! Don't shoot him, bro! Don't shoot him, bro!
Jerome?
Don't shoot him, bro! Oh. I know, bro. I know, bro.
Jerome?
I know, bro. I'm with you, bro. I know, Chris. No. He didn't have no choice, bro. My God, bro. I know, bro. I know, bro. And shoot him. He didn't have no choice, bro. The man turned around to the gun in his hand, man. Don't shoot him.
Jerome?
Oh, no.
911, what is the location of your emergency?
It's on, what is this, Richard? DVB card? Not DVB card. It's on,
Okay, so at first 911 call, the person talked about security being there, which I don't know if we're going to find out any more information about security's involvement in this, but the fact that there's a guy who's got a gun and is going around waving it, and there's security there, and security is not doing anything, makes me think that most likely it is unarmed security, which is why I think unarmed security is totally fucking retarded. The only reason why unarmed security exists is because of cheapskate people. That's it. Like, people are cheapskates. They don't want to pay for actual armed security, and so they would rather pay a cheaper price for unarmed security and think that things are going to be the same as if they had an armed one. They're just, paying a little bit less. It's not. Unarmed security cannot protect people from violent aggressors. They can't even protect themselves. Now, the exact location and everything like that, and the buildings and places involved, I don't know. So I don't know if this is an unarmed security person working for one business, and they've moved away from that area, or they were dealing with them initially and has come out of the place, and now they don't feel like they should be getting involved in something where this person's out in the open and is not on their property. That, I don't know if that's what's going on as well. But security, in my opinion, needs to be armed. The only time that security should be unarmed is if they are working with some armed security. So you could have an event venue kind of place where you could have armed security and also unarmed security working at the same time. And that armed security is there to deal with violent aggressors who try to kill, attempt to kill, seriously physically injure people. That could be a happy medium for a client to have some armed security and also save some money and have unarmed security. But to have just totally 100% unarmed security doesn't make anybody safe. I remember a few years back, my local branch bank was robbed. The very next day, they had a security company in there. One guard, unarmed, standing in the lobby. They experienced an armed robbery, and they hire an unarmed security guard to stand in the lobby the next day. That person was the most useless being in existence for that day. If the 1 in a million chance that robber decided to come back and rob the bank again the next day after, what would that person have been able to do? Not a damn thing. They would become a victim. Hell, they'd probably get robbed themselves. Fucking robber would steal their little fucking badge and flashlight. Oh, man. So another thing with this call is the caller told them that they need to hurry up because they're going to, I think he said they're going to light him up or he's going to get what's coming to him, basically something to that effect. Insinuating that, he's going to get shot. Well, then when the police get there and they end up shooting the guy, then he loses his shit. Interesting. But the whole thing of him saying, we're going to light him up, making statements like that on a 911 call is not a great idea because anything you say can and will be used against you. So let's say that the 911 caller ended up having to use deadly physical force against this person. Personally, in my opinion, if someone's walking around waving a gun, acting crazy, pointing at people, they are a deadly threat. I don't care how mentally challenged you are. I don't care what kind of mental health problems you have. That does not make you exempt from things happening to you. If you do things that put other people's lives in danger. Now, seriously, I don't care how mentally defective you are, if you Down syndrome, whatever. If you're walking around, you're pointing guns at people, you are a deadly threat. Just because you're handicapped doesn't mean that you're going to be exempt from having real world things happen to you. But when you're on a recorded phone line, it's not in your best interest to be saying goofy things like, we're going to light him up, or, you're going to get what's coming to him. If it went the route of that, if that person had to use deadly physical force and it went the route of that person being charged, that stuff would come up in court. And it could be damaging to that person when that jury listens to it. And a jury is not a jury of your peers. Those people most likely do not share your same interests. They likely do not share your same thoughts and views on things. If you've ever sat in a jury or gone for jury duty, you'll understand what I'm talking about. for those of you who have not had to go to jury duty, there are some extremely stupid people out there. And it's just like these videos that you see being shared online where a person's walking around with this microphone, he's just questioning people, and he's like, who was the 16th president? And people come up with these off-the-wall fucking answers, or they have no idea, or something, you know, like there was one the other day. He goes, what country do you think, how was it worded? He said, what country do you think Utah is in, or something like that? Like, multiple people could not answer the damn question. People like that, just completely stupid, are the type of people who will be sitting in that jury. So when things like a 911 tape are played to them, they're not going to be able to think objectively, in my opinion, and think rationally and logically. Juries a lot of time are persuaded by a show that is put on. And it basically boils down to who puts on a better convincing show, the prosecution or the defense. Evidence be damned. Sometimes the evidence can help with this show, but it's like popularity contest almost, like who's more likable. And if you're not a likable person and the prosecution can put on a better show, even though, you know, you have evidence contrary to that would exonerate you, sometimes people get screwed. They really do. So you don't want to set yourself up for failure by saying a bunch of stupid stuff on a recorded 911 call, because, like I said, everything you say can and will be used against you. All right, enough with that one. Let's listen to the second call.
Buchanan?
Buchanan and where?
Hold on, I'm going back around here. There's a guy with a gun. He was trying to cock it, and I thought he was in the middle of the street, so I blew my horn because I thought he was drunk. But anyway, he was trying to cock it in front of, what is the name of that club? Hold on, I'm going back up there. I'm going to give you guys. I'm going to see if he's still up there. It's over here, right before you get to the school, right here at, what's the name of this? Delta Avenue. You go past it, there's a club up here on the left, on the right. And I'm going to give you the description if he's still up here. So I'm at a light now. I don't want to run it.
Got it. So Delta and Buchanan over north?
Yes, North Nashville.
Okay, got it.
Depending on which way they come. But it's right here by the pizza place in the club. And I'm going to give you the description if he's still here. Because he was trying to cock it, but he dropped it in the middle of the street. Matter of fact, he's still right here.
Okay.
It's right here by, what's the name of this pizza place? He's got on a jacket with a hood. He's in front of the club. It's called Willie B's. Right here at Willie B's. He's still got the gun in his hand.
Okay, so listen to me. I already have the location. That's fine. I just need to know what he looks like. What race, age, and what is he wearing?
It's a black guy, maybe 40. He's out here dancing. He's in front of the pizza place.
Tell me what he's
a black
wearing.
male.
Thank you. Uh-huh.
He's got a gray jacket with brown pants with a gray hat on.
Got it. With a gray hat, gray jacket?
Yes, ma'am.
Got it. How old
with a gray jacket with brown pants on.
How old is he?
He's probably maybe 30. He done dropped the gun like 3 times.
Okay. So.
And he keeps trying to cock it.
So he's in the middle of the road on Buchanan?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am, in front of the pizza place.
Got it.
Right in front of Willie B's.
Right in front of Willie B's? Or is that Slim and Husky's?
Well, Slim and Husky's, they both across from each other. He's right in front of Slim and Husky's.
Okay, got it. So, because I already have a call up and we're sending an officer out, so that's why I want to understand. And is he pointing the gun or threatening at anyone?
Right here, and people really, He's just pointing it up in the. People really don't even know he's got a gun. He's sitting there hollering at people across the street, but they don't really know what's going on.
I understand. I'm not there, but I'm letting the officers know.
I understand. Okay.
You have to let me know what you're seeing, but you need to answer the questions. Is he pointing the gun at someone, or is he pointing?
No, ma'am. He's just pointing it in the air.
Okay.
He's pointing it in the air.
Has he fired it off?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
And I don't know if the gun is real. Oh, the police right here. They're here.
Okay. Perfect. So let me know if they're pulling up to the first person.
They're trying to. Yes, they are. Yeah, they are. He got the gun. Yeah, they got it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for that. And what was your name?
All right, no problem.
Thank you. What was your
Calvin
name?
Word.
You said Calvin?
Calvin Word. They just shot him. They just shot him.
Wait, what?
Oh, my God. They just shot him.
Calvin, what's your telephone number?
Oh, my God.
Calvin, what's your telephone number? What's your last name? Spell it. Thank you. Was it? Okay. I'm going to have...
Oh, they shot him.
Okay.
They got, oh, my God.
Officer Dylan Ramos, a 3-year MNPD veteran, was the first officer on scene.
Sir! Sir! 11 boy, hold here. Sir! Sir!
11, what do you need there?
10-4. What's he got? Do not touch that! Drop the gun! Drop the gun!
Officers rendered aid to the 47-year-old man. He was taken to a local hospital where he died. Efforts are currently underway to notify his family. Officer Ramos is now on a routine administrative assignment. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation.
Okay, so let's get back into that. So this officer is knowingly responding to a call involving a person with a gun. Yet this officer does not get out of his car with a rifle. This is one of my chief complaints when it comes to videos like this. Officers responding to calls involving gunplay or other deadly physical weapons, and they neglect to get a rifle out. Now, I don't know much about Nashville police, even though they're just right down the road from me. So I don't know 100% sure if they have rifles in their cars, but most places do. So if the car did not have a rifle in it, then I can't blame the officer or say anything negative about the officer, because if the rifle does not exist, it just fucking simply does not exist. Instead, I would place some blame on the administration. If there is a large agency out there, like the size of Nashville, that neglects to put patrol rifles in cars, there's something wrong with the administration. The chief of police needs to go. There's no reason why patrol cars should be out there without patrol rifles or even a shotgun. All patrol cars need to have long gun. If the chief administrator of that agency is failing to make that happen, that chief needs to go. The rest of the administration, as far as like the assistant chief, deputy chief, those people, if they have not made any efforts to say, hey, we need long guns in the cars, those people need to go too. But if this car did have a rifle in it, then this officer is 110% wrong for getting out of the car and not having his rifle. So one thing I recommend and advocate for is get the call. It's going to be a deadly weapon call, something of that nature, or someone has been shot. Before you ever get on scene, you should have that rifle out. So the minute the call comes out, if you're driving, you need to simply just pull over, get the rifle out, charge it, throw the sling around the neck, and then proceed to the call. While the rifle is on you and the barrel is in between your legs. Or if you don't like that method, you can stash it right between you and the console. That way, when you arrive on scene, you can dismount the vehicle with a charged rifle ready to go. Otherwise, if you don't do that, then once you get on scene and you recognize, hey, I need a rifle, well, then you need to go through that process of unlocking the rifle from its mount, charging it, turning your sight on, putting the sling on. Or if it's in the trunk, going back to the trunk, opening up the soft case or hard case that it could be in, and then doing the same thing, charging it, turning the sight on, throwing the sling on. Doing that in the hot zone is not the most ideal thing to do. Because that could then mean that you're in a situation where you cannot effectively do that. You cannot safely do that. You can't safely divert your attention away from the threat to look down for the magnetic disconnect button, to press it to disengage the lock on the rifle that's holding it in place, pull it out of its cradle while being stuck in this car, which is a fucking bullet magnet in and of itself, or go around to the trunk of the vehicle and take your eyes off the person. So it's not safe for you to get the rifle out if you're in the hot zone and it's stowed in the car. That's why I say get it out before you ever get on scene. As soon as the call comes out, you pull over to the side of the road, get it out, charge it, turn the sight on, sling it, and go. Then when you get on scene, boom, as soon as you dismount from that vehicle, you got a rifle in hand. A rifle is better than a pistol. It is more accurate, and its terminal ballistics are night and day. It has a longer barrel and more points of contact on it for you to further stabilize that weapon system and reduce the most amount of movement in it as possible, thus increasing your accuracy. The terminal ballistics compared to pistol, night and day. You can get very rapid physical incapacitation with fewer rifle rounds than you can with pistol rounds. It may take you 1 to 3 rounds of rifle center mass to rapidly incapacitate a threat, whereas with a pistol, it could take 5 to 12 rounds.
Sir! Sir! 11 boy, hold the air. Sir!
So he said hold the air. So what does that mean? So the radios, the walkie-talkies. Police have multiple channels that they'll operate off of. They could have anywhere between 3 channels to 10 channels to 20 channels, depending on the radio system and the agency, and all different kind of talk groups and sectors and zones and stuff like that. But in general, about 3 to 5 channels is what an agency will need for operating off of on day-to-day basis with patrol stuff. Channel 1 in most places is the channel that dispatch will send calls out on, and then everybody talks on when going to these calls and talking about things in relation to these quote-unquote routine calls. Traffic stops get called out on them, so if they pull a vehicle over, they're talking on channel 1, telling dispatch they've stopped a vehicle at what location, plate number, and description of vehicle, and then dispatch sending a unit to a missing kid, and then sending someone to a theft in progress, to a burglary call, whatever. It all goes on that one channel. Then they have a channel 2, and a channel 2 is just a backup to that channel 1 in the event that channel 1 traffic is held. And then channel 3 could be like a talk around channel where people can have a longer winded conversation that doesn't eat up a bunch of airtime on the main channel, which is why agencies use like 10 codes and signals and stuff like that on that main channel. They could just say Charlie 1 297, or say something in code that is very short, simple, and sweet, and it doesn't eat up a bunch of airtime. Whereas channel 3, they can practically read a fucking book. But channel 1, so everyone operates off channel 1, and then when someone gets involved in something that is very high risk, and they don't want a bunch of bullshit radio traffic going on while they're dealing with this thing, they just say, hold the channel, or hold traffic, or hold the air. And then dispatch, what they'll do is they'll generate a tone on the channel, on the frequency, and it sounds like just a beeping noise. It'll go beep, and then the dispatchers will tell everyone to hold traffic on this channel until that person can advise. And basically what that means for everyone else is shut the fuck up. Plain and simple. That's all that means is, unless you're with this person and on this call, stay off the damn radio. Go to channel 2, where everything else is going to be going on now. So that way, this officer is dealing with a dude with a gun, and someone on the other side of town wants to run a plate. They're not doing it on this channel where this guy is in this high-risk scenario, and now someone's calling out for a fucking plate check at a hotel. They can go do that on channel 2, where this guy don't have to listen to it and be distracted by this bullshit. Or, people making bullshit radio traffic while this guy needs to make an emergency communication, but when he goes to key up, he can't key up and get out because someone else is talking. So that's what hold the traffic means. It just basically tells everyone, shut the hell up unless you're right here with me dealing with this call.
Sir!
11 more, do you need there?
10-4. What's he got? Do not touch that! Drop the gun! Drop the gun! Do not touch that! 10-4. What's he got?
So I can't see the gun that well. It is
11 more, do you need there?
a little blurry.
10-4. What's he got?
But it almost does not look like he has a weapon-mounted light at all.
10-4. What's he got?
Yeah, it's hard to say for sure, but I don't think that he has a weapon-mounted light. That's a failure. All fighting guns need a weapon-mounted light. Even if you work during the day, predominantly, you still need a weapon-mounted light on your gun. Who's to say that you won't have to be held over for overtime and then end up working during nighttime hours. Who's to say that, you go indoors and there's no lights, there's no windows, there's no, natural light coming in. You need artificial light source. You are a more effective, quote unquote, low light night fighter with a weapon mounted light than you are trying to hold a flashlight in your support hand. Now, you should still know those techniques in the event that your weapon mounted light dies, so that you can still be an effective night fighter. But the old days of, the Harry's carry technique, the surefire, the cigar technique, the FBI or the modified FBI, whatever technique, you learned way back in the day, that was all that was back in the day. Because back in the day, weapon-mounted lights were not as prevalent as they are now. But that should not be your go-to option. Your first option. Your first option should be to use a weapon-mounted light. With a weapon-mounted light, you are able to keep both hands on the gun. And for a handgun, that means a lot. Because when you think about a handgun, you only got 2 points of contact, your two hands. You don't have a buttstock on there to put that thing into your shoulder and then put your cheek on. You don't have that forend to do your C-clamp and pull it, further into your body, or a sling to be able to put your elbow into it and tension it in a little bit more. All you get is two hands. And it's a very short barrel. So any amount of movement in that system will throw your shot placement way off as you add more distance. Just the simple act of pulling the trigger on a handgun one-handed will make that gun move to the left or right, depending on what hand you're shooting from. Just pulling the trigger will make it move to the left a little bit. Now, from 0 feet to 6 feet, not that big of a difference or noticeable difference there. But as you add increments of distance and you go further to 21 feet and more, your shot placement is way off, or not even hitting the target at all. So when you hold a flashlight in one hand and then the gun in the other, your accuracy's shot in half there. You're not an effective fighter. So with that weapon-mounted light, you get both hands on the gun, further stabilizing that pistol, reducing as much as you can movement within the overall system, thus increasing your accuracy. Funding for many agencies is, an issue. But this is to the point now where, with what we know with training and real world historical data, weapon-mounted lights are a must. Agencies need to be tweaking their budgets to ensure that all officers have weapon-mounted lights. Failure to do so is gross negligence, in my opinion. The administrators who are not making that happen need to go. They do not have the correct mindset. For the agencies who just can't put it in their budget to equip officers with a weapon-mounted light, the officers are now responsible for making that happen. Yeah, I know a good weapon-mounted light is not cheap. And then they have to have the holster to put it in. It's not cheap. But neither is a funeral or a couple month stay in a hospital, which is going to be substantially more expensive than getting a weapon-mounted light and a duty holster to accommodate your gun with a weapon-mounted light. Suck it up. Don't get Starbucks for a few weeks. Don't get takeout for a few weeks. Make a few little sacrifices. Save up that money. Get that needed gear. That necessary life safety equipment.
Do not touch that! Drop the gun! Drop the gun!
All right, so he fires, target goes down, and he performs a reload. So I don't know what kind of gun he has. I don't know really how many rounds he fired. I don't know if he went the slide lock or if he just fired some rounds. He saw the threat go down and he knew, hey, go ahead and do a mag change right now. If he fired the slide lock, then I would say he probably had a very larger caliber pistol, like a 45 or a 40, that holds less rounds than a 9mm. If he did not fire the slide lock and he decided to go ahead and do a mag change, then I like the fact that he decided to go ahead and do a mag change. It is best when you perform a magazine change under your terms, when you want to do it, when you choose to want to do a mag change. Those are the best conditions. Being forced into it is not a good time. Firing the slide lock in the middle of a gunfight is not an ideal scenario. That sucks. So if you can, after you've fired some rounds at your target, you've assessed that target, they don't need to be shot anymore, you've looked around, there's no one else that needs to be shot, you top your gun off. That way, if that threat becomes a threat again, or they were not alone and they had a buddy and they'd come around the corner and they're now a threat, you get to start that secondary fight off with a fresh magazine, a fully topped off magazine, versus a partially depleted or nearly depleted magazine. So we call this FAST. Fight, assess, scan, and top off. You fight, bang, 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 bang. You assess. All right, they're down, they're not moving, they're no longer a threat, I don't need to bang, bang no more. Look around. Does he have any buddies? Nope. Top your gun off. And then you can take cover, treat injuries, and talk. So when he went to go perform a magazine change, it appears to me as though he hit the magazine release, and that magazine fell out of the gun and hit the ground before he ever had a fresh mag out to put into the gun. Now, if he had fired the slide lock, that's not that big of a deal, because he's essentially got a hammer at this point anyway. But if he did not fire the slide lock and he was just choosing to go ahead and do a mag change, then in my opinion, he's done it wrong by ejecting that magazine that still has rounds in it first before having a fresh mag to put into the gun. The ideal way to do a magazine change under your terms, when you still have rounds in a magazine that's in the gun, is you reach down to your belt, pull a fresh mag out, bring it up to the gun, then you eject the partially depleted magazine from the gun and very rapidly insert the new magazine into the gun. That minimizes the amount of downtime that you have a one-shot gun. Because it would suck to hit the magazine release on the gun, eject that partially depleted mag, and then boom, the threat becomes a threat again, and you don't have a fresh mag in that gun. You just got one round in the chamber. So fresh mags come up to the gun before you ever hit eject for that partially depleted mag. not much to see with this one. Now, I will say, this officer here is coming up with a rifle. Good on him. He recognized the fact that he was going to a call involving a guy with a gun, and he got a rifle out. So this dude has the correct mindset. Looked like he had one too. Correct mindset. Came in hot. These two, doesn't appear they had any rifles ready to go. Alright, so this one shows a little bit more clarity on what was going on over here. So it seems like he has dropped the gun and he has picked it back up. Then he turns around, and although we can see him raise it and he throws it, it happens very quick. So very quick. So the minute he has turned around and he has started raising that arm, this officer has recognized, he's observed that this dude has turned with the gun in his hand. He's starting to raise that hand that has the gun in it. And the officer has made that decision, is acting on that decision. So as this officer is going to be sending rounds, this guy throws the gun. Now, in that moment, when it's happening that quick, when that person turns and that gun starts to raise, you don't know that they're going to be just throwing the gun away. From that officer's perspective, it's going to be looking like that dude is going to be raising the gun to him, pointing it at him. So yeah, 110% this officer is justified in using deadly physical force to protect himself. Because in that moment, as the circumstances as they appeared to be, it appeared as though this guy was raising the gun at him. It's only in the comfort of sitting in front of a computer or a phone and watching this and being able to replay it a few times that we get to see that this guy was just dropping the gun. It was not the best way for him to be dropping the gun, but he was just simply getting rid of the gun. But it happens, his movements are so quick. And he turns, faces the officer, and starts to raise that gun towards the officer. The officer acted appropriately. He had no way of knowing that this guy was just going to simply drop the gun. He assumed that this guy was pointing a gun at him. And there's no other assumption that we should reasonably expect this officer to be making. That is the most reasonable that is the most reasonable assumption that this officer should be making based on these circumstances. So we see that he fires, he puts that new magazine in, and it looks like he racks the gun. So I don't know if that was the gun being fired to slide lock, or if that is how he performs reloads. So that's how I perform reloads. Even when the slide is all the way forward, I still rack that slide. It's just muscle memory at this point for me. it appears this officer here with the rifle, he doesn't know what to do with his rifle. And he lays it there on the deck. That is the worst fucking place you could put a deadly physical weapon when dealing with someone. Is laying it right there next to them. All long guns should have slings on them. And when you're wanting to be able to use both hands, you just sling your long gun. It's that simple. You don't ever lay it on the ground or prop it up against something. You sling it. So I like that he had the mindset to get that rifle out. That's a good mindset, but what he does with it when he wants to use both hands and he can't hold on to it anymore, that's wrong. He should not be laying that rifle on the ground like that. That to me, in my opinion, that signifies that there is unrealistic training with rifle going on at that point. So when you think about police shooting ranges and other shooting ranges, there are some unrealistic rules, in my opinion. Unrealistic safety rules that create or lead to developing training scars in people. For example, one stupid rule that I have never fucking understood at all is this rule that you cannot have a loaded gun on a range unless you are on the shooting line and you are shooting. Once you get done shooting and you step away from that line, a lot of places have the rule that that gun needs to be unloaded, magazine removed and slide locked back. That makes no sense to me whatsoever, especially on a police shooting range where these people are supposed to have a higher level of training than just regular people. Your gun should always be loaded all the time. All the time. So when it comes to rifles, I don't think that there is a lot of realistic training when it comes to rifles. So when you think about your handgun's always on you, right? It's always in the holster, always on your side. So when you're on the shooting line and the firing command comes out, boom, it's right there. Just like it would be when you're out in the streets, right? When you're out and about, doing everything as normal, you're going to have that handgun on you. So that's very, very realistic to start off on the shooting line with your handgun on your side. It's not so realistic to be starting on the shooting line with your rifle because you're not always going to be walking around with a rifle on. That rifle is going to have to come from somewhere, most likely the vehicle. Now, when it comes to rifle training, it all starts on the shooting line. You got your rifle, you do your shooting, and then when you come off that shooting line, a lot of times there's a rifle rack where you put your rifle at. Or there could be a table where you lock the bolt back and you put a flag indicator in there and you lay the rifle down, and everyone knows that rifle's unloaded, and it lays there. And then other students do their string of fire while the others go reload mags or something like that. That's unrealistic. Very unrealistic. What I think needs to be incorporated in rifle training to make it more realistic is have the students start where they need to get that rifle from. If it's going to be in the car, that's how they need to be starting their drills. Now, once they get some of the fundamentals down, right, like they do the basic stuff, learning the rifle and everything, they need to start going into drills. And they need to get it out of the car, danger that thing up, and then get to the shooting line and commence firing from there. That way, they can build those muscle memories of how they're going to get that rifle out. So if they're always going to have that rifle in the trunk, then that's how they need to perform those drills. They go to the trunk, open it, get the rifle out, charge it, turn the sight on, sling it, go up to the line, and then commence shooting from there. And then, when there's no shooting going on, they need to be forced to sling that rifle and wear that rifle at all times. Don't put it in a rifle rack. Don't put it on a fucking table. You're not going to have a fucking table out there in real life to set your damn rifle on and put a chamber indicator on it. Or a nice little rifle rack. Alright? There's not going to be a nice little rifle rack next here to this fucking bus stop to put your goddamn rifle in. It's not going to fucking happen. The students need to be forced to sling those rifles. That way it becomes second nature to them. It's more comfortable for them to go to that option versus lay the rifle on the ground next to the motherfucker who had a gun who just had to be shot.
Officers rendered aid to the 47-year-old man. He was taken to a local hospital where he died. Efforts are currently underway to notify his family. Officer Ramos, efforts are currently underway to notify. Officers rendered aid to the 47-year-old man. He was taken to a local hospital where he died.
Medical aid. So they're trying to render medical aid to this guy, and the officers who are not doing anything hands-on or holding flashlights down to illuminate what's going on. First aid kits need to have headlamps in them. So if you got an IFAC or a trauma bag, whatever, one thing that you need to do is add a headlamp to that kit. What if these extra officers were not there? What if extra hands were not there to hold flashlights so that you can see what you're doing? Taking the flashlight and putting it in your neck and holding it like that, it's not that viable of an option. Tucking it in your armpit is not that viable of an option. Putting it in your mouth is not a very viable option. The neck and the armpit thing, I 100% recommend over putting a flashlight in your mouth. I don't ever recommend you put anything in your mouth, especially when you're going to have your hands contaminated with bodily fluid and you may have to reach up and grab that light from your mouth. You don't want to bring bloody hands that's not your DNA close to your face, your mouth, and your nose area. All right? So a headlamp is a great piece of kit to throw into a first aid bag. Whether it's an IFAC, little small kit, or a big ass trauma bag, whatever. Having a good headlamp is a great thing to have in there when it is just you and one other person doing work on someone. Or it's just you. You can see everything you need to be doing because you got a good headlamp on.
Efforts are currently underway to notify.
We don't get to see much of what they do medical-wise with this guy. We do see that this other officer here, he appears to have the purple nitrile gloves on. You should always have gloves on you when you're dealing with people with bodily fluids. You don't know what the hell people got, and you have to assume that they have the worst thing possible. You have to assume they've got AIDS, HIV, hepatitis, whatever. Especially when you're dealing with criminals. Criminals, and especially people who do shit like this, walking around waving guns and shit out in public, these are people who have, for a period of time throughout their life, have most likely made a series of bad decisions in life. It's not like they just all of a sudden one day made this one bad decision in life. Now, there are some people out there who make one bad decision in life, like people who, get a DUI, stuff like that. But when it comes to the actions like this, like someone walking around fucking waving guns at people and acting crazy like that, chances are that they've probably made a series of bad decisions in life leading up to this. And those bad decisions in life could be having unprotected sex with prostitutes or other questionable people, sharing needles, things of that nature. Even for the people who made that one-time mistake, you should still assume that they have something. Just because they appear to be a clean-cut person doesn't mean they're not. And it's not like these bad things in people's blood is only gotten by leaving a bad life. There are good people who have these unfortunate circumstances, like people who work in the medical field who get a needle stick trying to treat someone. They end up catching something. Like they're leading a good life, right? Helping others, but boom, because of the nature of their job, they had a needle stick by accident, and boom, now they got hepatitis or something. So even good people can have, bad things. So you have to assume that everybody has something. If you don't share DNA with someone on a regular basis, then you need to be gloving up. So if it's like your wife, your husband, your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, you share DNA on the regular, you're not going to have to worry about putting gloves on when dealing with them. At that point, the only reason you'd be putting gloves on when dealing with them is to prevent contaminants getting into their wound, right? You're not protecting yourself against what they got because you've already been sharing, DNA with them, right? Other people, you have no idea what they got. No idea whatsoever. So you should always assume they got the worst of the worst. And glove up. And that's another thing I've noticed with a lot of these videos. A bunch of cops neglecting to have a pair of gloves on them. I cannot tell you how many videos I've seen where, has anybody got an extra pair of gloves? Like, where the fuck have you been at your entire career? How are you in this line of work and you're not carrying gloves on you? Like, aside from the fact that you're going to have to be dealing with people who may have bodily fluids on them or they're just straight fucking dirty. Aside from that, you're law enforcement. You could be collecting evidence. Do you want to be contaminating evidence with your DNA or your fingerprints? No. It just bewilders me that there are cops out there who do not carry fucking gloves on them. I don't know. It's just, like I said, it bewilders me. But you'd always have gloves on you at all times. No excuse.
His family. Officer Ramos is now on a routine administrative assignment. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation and this police department conduct thorough use of force investigations. This investigation is in the early stages and will take time to complete. In the coming days, the TBI and the Davidson County District Attorney's Office will continue to investigate and analyze this incident. By policy, the MNPD will also be conducting an administrative review of the tactics and the interaction that you have just seen to ensure that they meet the high standards expected of our officers. Thank you for watching this critical incident briefing.
All right, that's it. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching.